Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
Now pushing the limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us on Pushing the Limits. Appreciate everybody for being here. The fastest growing show, certainly in the Valley. I would say throughout the country. It's incredible, and I'm humbled by the emails I get every day from people and the phone calls we get, not just from across the country, but around the world. It really is awesome, and I appreciate all of you for making us a part of your day, man. You could be listening, of course, on the AM/FM dial locally on KSHP, but the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, TikTok, Twitter, X, I guess they call it now, Twitch, YouTube. We're all over the place, man, and very humbled by how fast this show it continues to grow. And I have all of you to thank for that. We have a lot to get to today, man, and I want to just dive right into it because, you know, even Donald Trump is stooping to new lows. And I told you guys that when Donald Trump went to this slain officer's wake in New York City, he didn't do it because he cared about the police officer who was tragically killed. Terrible story. He didn't do it because he cared about the family. He went there for a photo op. He held a press conference. He didn't do it privately. He holds a press conference. And as I've told people, hundreds of officers were killed when Donald Trump was president. Every one of them is tragic. Donald Trump didn't reach out to any of those families. He didn't go to any of those wakes, didn't go to any of those funerals, because everything Donald Trump does is about himself. It's not about empathy. It's not about helping other people. And there were people that said, oh, Brian, you don't know what you're talking about. All of a sudden he cares about police officers, right? And I said, well, look at what happened on January 6th. Some of those officers were beaten with their own batons. And Donald Trump called some of those people who are behind bars for physically assaulting police officers, he called them patriots. He called them hostages. What more proof do you need? Well, now we have more proof of Donald Trump taking advantage and scoring political points in what is a horrific, tragic story about a young woman named Ruby Garcia who was brutally murdered. Terrible story. And the reason why Donald Trump is even talking about it and bringing it up is because an undocumented immigrant murdered her. Obviously, this is a horrible story. As the case with any innocent person who loses their life, this is terrible. So what did Donald Trump decide to do? Well, besides bringing it up, because I'm sure he really cares about Ruby Garcia, he brought her up, and he was caught in what I would say is one of the worst lies you can make up. And that's taking advantage of an innocent person who lost their life. And I want to play you the audio. This is Donald Trump talking about the tragic murder of Ruby Garcia. Let's see if you could spot the lie.
Ruby's loved ones and community are left grieving for this incredible young woman, remembering what they called her. They said she had just this most contagious laughter, and when she walked into a room, she lit up that room. And I've heard that from so many people. I spoke to some of her family.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. How do we know that? Because Ruby Garcia's family members have said that, including her sister, publicly, that Donald Trump did not speak to any of Ruby Garcia's family members. We know that Donald Trump religiously reads the New York Post. I know you thought I was going to say the Bible. And the New York Post put out a story because Ruby's sister said those exact words and quoted in the article, which we know that Donald Trump read. And Donald Trump said it himself, spoke with the family. No, you didn't. So not only are you taking another very tragic murder of an innocent, beautiful young woman who lost her life. It's terrible, and my heart goes out to the family. So not only are you bringing it up for political points, even though that we know undocumented immigrants, sadly, some of them committed some horrible crimes and murders when Trump was president, but Republicans don't want to talk about that. So not only Are you bringing up a tragic murder to try to score political points, just like they do with Riley? Same stuff. Riley's own father had to say in an interview that he didn't like the fact that his daughter, he believed, was being used for political gain. But Donald Trump lied about meeting with the family of Ruby Garcia. Does it get any more low than that? And how stupid do you have to be? Because I'm done saying, oh, Donald Trump's a smart guy. No, he's not. How stupid do you have to be to make a claim like that, and you don't think that Ruby's family is going to come out and say, no, you're lying, you never met with us? So he's extremely stupid and naive to think that he could get away with a lie like that and not get caught. He was caught. And I try to reason, and I try to say to myself, what if Joe Biden did something like that, which, by the way, he would never do? And you can't tell me that this wasn't intentional. Of course, Donald Trump knew he didn't meet with the family. He took quotes from the New York Post, and he lied. Absolutely intentional, trying to score political points. What if Joe Biden did something even close to this? What if somebody was brutally murdered? I don't know. And people would claim he was trying to score political points, and some white supremacist MAGA supporter killed an innocent, I don't know, black man or black woman. And Republicans would say, oh, he's doing this to score political points. And then what if Joe Biden lied? And he said, I met with the family. And then the family came out and said, well, wait a second, Joe Biden didn't meet with us. What would Republicans be saying this morning? You know exactly what would be happening. They would be going after Joe Biden. They'd be calling him a liar. How disgraceful. How could he do that? Silence from the right. Absolute silence from those that are on the far right. It's despicable. It's disgusting. You're taking, again, a horrible tragedy. Now, when there is a mass shooting, and there are way too many mass shootings in this country, but for example, if we have a mass shooting where, I don't know, one person dying is too much, but if, let's just say we have 10, 20, 30 people, a bunch of children that die in a school, God forbid it's happened, and I'm fearful that it'll happen again. When you hear elected officials on the left talk about gun control, it's not politicization, it's not politics, it's about public safety. That's when Democrats bring that up and Republicans say now's not the time to talk about it. You're making it political. No, we're talking about public safety. Now, if you want to claim that when Republicans talk about the border, and as they claim open borders, that's also public safety, it's factually accurate to say that per capita, you are much more likely to be the victim of a crime from someone who is a legal citizen in this country than somebody who is undocumented. And while a lot of people out there might not like the fact that there's a lot of people in this country that are undocumented, the idea that the majority or even close to the majority of these people are bad people that want to rape your kids and murder you is factually inaccurate. Are there some bad people? Are there some terrible people? Sure, a small percentage of them are doing bad things and they're terrible people. I don't want those people in this country. But if you hear from the right, they'll make it sound like all these people that are undocumented want to rape your kids and kill your wife, which obviously is not true. Or the excuse, oh, he was just calling Riley's murderer an animal. No, he wasn't. I played the quote. He said, they're animals, with an S at the end. But, you know, these MAGA Republicans, they will use every excuse in the book and crumble into a twisted pretzel to try to defend Donald Trump. They're animals. I played the audio yesterday. Yes, the person that murdered Ruby Garcia is an animal. It doesn't mean I would characterize all undocumented people in this country as animals the way Donald Trump did. Now, will you hear Donald Trump apologize? Even if he lied and he apologized, it would be better than nothing, right? Even if he said, geez, you know, I misspoke. I did not meet with Ruby Garcia's family. I apologize. I misspoke. Now, even if he said he misspoke, that would be a lie, but it'd be better than saying nothing. Donald Trump will probably double down on this. He'll probably say he spoke to a family member when he didn't. It is absolutely despicable, and we can't normalize this kind of behavior. We just can't. I can't sit here and say, well, you know what? par for the course. Donald Trump is just going to say what he says. No, we can't normalize this. We can't normalize a former president, again, politicizing an innocent woman that is murdered for political gain and then lying and saying you met with her family when you didn't. You took a quote from the New York Post. We cannot normalize this kind of behavior. We need to call it out. And while Republicans are obsessed with transgenders and they're obsessed with drag queen reading, and when Republicans are obsessed with an unloaded gun that Hunter Biden had for 12 days, or when people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are obsessed with Hunter Biden's penis, we need to focus on what's important. We have a mentally unstable man who's facing 91 felony counts, who is a liable rapist. That is a characterization by the judge. A jury of Donald Trump's peers found that he sexually abused E. Jean Carroll and 26 other women. We cannot normalize his behavior. And it continues. Because Hugh Hewitt, who I think is a complete clown and doesn't press Donald Trump on anything, Trump appeared on his show yesterday. And if you remember, after the State of the Union, the conspiracy theories from the far right continue. He must have been on drugs. It looked like he had a lot of energy to start the speech. And at the end of the speech, he fizzled out a little bit. Guess what? I'm 43 years old. If I had to do a 90-minute speech, I probably wouldn't have the same energy at the beginning of the speech that I would have at the end of the speech either. But because they couldn't, call him in the bunker, and because they couldn't, attack Joe Biden for maybe stuttering too much, which they seem to do a lot, or they couldn't go after him for being Sleepy Joe, because he actually did a pretty good job in the State of the Union. Even a lot of Republicans said they were a little surprised. So what are they doing? Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're claiming that he was on drugs. Yes. And now the former president of the United States, with absolutely no evidence, the same, no evidence he has when he says the 2020 election was stolen, is now claiming, yes, that Joe Biden might have been on cocaine and he was high as a kite. Have a listen to this.
You have said you'll debate him anywhere, anytime. Do you think he'll agree to any debate?
Anywhere, anytime.
Do you think he'll agree?
I don't think so, but I hope he does.
Do you think
what happened is, that white stuff that they happened to find, which happened to be cocaine in the White House? I don't know. I think something's going on there, because I watched his State of the Union, and he was all jacked up at the beginning. By the end, he was fading fast. There's something going on there. I want to debate, and I think debates with him, at least, should be drug tested. I want to
Mr. President, are you suggesting President Biden's using cocaine?
I don't know what he's using, but that was not, hey, he was higher than a kite. And by the way, it was the worst address I've ever seen, State of the Nation. I'll tell you, State of the Union, that's not State of the Union, because he doesn't represent us properly. That I can tell you. But he's obviously being helped some way, because most of the time he looks like he's falling asleep, and all of a sudden he walked up there and did a poor job. But he was all jacked up.
Yeah, first of all, let's just be factually accurate here. There's zero evidence to support anything that Donald Trump just said. And then he says he doesn't represent us well. Yeah, but you do. You rapist. You do. You represent us well. You rapist, you. Donald Trump represents the American people well. Are you effing kidding me? And again, this is what the Trumpers do. This is what MAGA world, the conspiracy theories. Joe Biden must have been on drugs. He does a good job on something. He shows energy for an 81-year-old man. Oh, well, that couldn't have been really Joe Biden. He must have been on drugs. Oh, really? Do you have any evidence? Now he's saying he wants drug tests? He wants drug tests before debates? I want makeup tests. Maybe don't put any orange makeup on before you get up there on stage. That's what I want. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. You have to laugh at this. You have the former president of the United States claiming that Joe Biden might have been on cocaine, or high as a kite is the word that he used, with zero evidence to back that up with his State of the Union, because they have nothing else to go on. I mean, it's really unbelievable. Do you want to hear from somebody that probably is high as a kite? Listen to Don Jr., also known as Biff, on his podcast, and tell me if this doesn't sound like somebody who's high.
By phone, right? I'm getting very heated, and my ex-wife at the time, she's involved, and she's a little bit more of a warrior than me, and the doctor literally said, "I'm texting you this article," and it was literally like, 10-year-old dies of COVID. Well, so I actually get beyond the headline, and at literally the end of paragraph 1, well, the child had an enlarged heart and 7 other
right.
I felt terrible, but I'm like, that's not the example for me. Like that.
Vaccinate
that
that kid.
Nothing to do
Definitely
with this.
vaccinate that kid.
Well, I'm this 10-year-old kid with an enlarged heart. Well, you guys, I had COVID, and that doesn't sound right to me. But that doesn't represent. It doesn't sound right. I mean, this guy is so unhinged. And there's video of him, wiping his nose. By the way, when he was doing this interview. Have you seen what Kimberly Guilfoyle looks like these days? I mean, I really feel sorry for her.
The best is yet to come.
Yeah, that's not somebody that's on drugs, right? Holy smokes. Maybe Trump should look at members of his own family. Kimberly Guilfoyle, the best is yet to come. Really? I mean, when she was married to the governor of California, beautiful woman. Listen, I don't like her personally. Good-looking woman, beautiful, natural-looking.
I can verify it.
Yes, thank you, Macho Man. And now, do you see what she looks like now? I really feel sorry for her. She needs help. If you want to talk about cocaine use, I think, Donnie, you should look at your own son or sons, Uday and Kusei, and have a listen to Don Jr. and what he sounds like these days. And then there's Laura Trump. Speaking of family members of Donald Trump, the chair of the RNC, by the way. And if you want to know what she's up to these days, here's a little sample for you. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is Laura Trump, the chair of the RNC, who's trying to sell MyPillows and towels for Mike Lindell, who's bankrupt. Listen to this.
$25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, just $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. Their 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, $25. Their new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And for the first time ever, the premium MyPillow with all new Giza fabric is just $25.
Oh, well, I really wanted her to finish that sentence. I want that code because I can't wait to get my hands on those lumpy pillows. That's what the chair of the RNC is doing these days, trying to make money for Mike Lindell, who, by the way, lost his warehouse in Minnesota because they couldn't afford paying the rent. What a sad situation the Republican Party is in right now. The chair of the RNC is trying to hawk MyPillows. The leader of the Republican Party is trying to hawk $60 Bibles and gold sneakers. The Republican Party is in shambles. Yes, polls came out that show Biden defeating Trump in some swing states. I'm not even paying attention to the polls. Last time I did that was back in 2016 when every poll said that virtually that Hillary Clinton was going to win the election. I don't trust polls. There's way too much time till November. The Republican Party is in shambles. They're fighting with one another. And while that is all going on, I want you to listen to, again, another clip from, it's like every day something new with Donald Trump. He's talking about Ruby Garcia, the poor young woman who was murdered, claims he met with her family. The family says, no, he never met with us. And now, listen to the way he talks about Barack Obama and injects race into this. It just gets worse and worse, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this.
Would you rather have the black president or the white president who got $1.7 billion off the price? I think they want the white guy right now.
The black president? Would you rather have the black president or the white president? But no, Donald Trump, he's the least racist person you'll ever meet, right? That's what he will claim. Donald Trump will also claim he knows more about every subject on the planet than anyone else. Now, I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but we have a little montage we'd like to play for you because literally Donald Trump is an expert in every single category imaginable that you can think of.
Nobody knows this stuff better than me.
Nobody knows more about taxes than I do and income than I do.
Nobody knows more about construction than I do.
Nobody knows more about campaign finance than I do.
I know more about drones than anybody.
Nobody knows much more about technology, this type of technology, certainly, than I do.
Nobody knows more about technology than me.
Nobody in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. I know the H-1B. I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me.
I know more about ISIS than the generals do, believe me.
I understand things. I comprehend very well, okay? Better than, I think, almost anybody.
And by the way, who knew the other side of the picture better than me? I knew it.
Nobody knows more about environmental impact statements than me. I understand the power of Facebook, maybe better than almost anybody. I know more about renewables than any human being on Earth. Nobody knows more about polls than me. I know more about courts than any human being on Earth. I know more about steelworkers than anybody that's ever run for office.
I know more about golf than Obama knows.
Nobody knows more about banks than I do.
Nobody knows more about trade than me. Well, obviously, he doesn't know about nuclear weapons. I know more about nuclear weapons than he'll ever know.
I understand the tax laws better than almost anyone.
Who knows more about lawsuits than I do? I'm the king. I know more about offense and defense than they will ever understand.
Nobody even understands it but me. It's called devaluation.
I understand money better than anybody.
I understand the system better than anybody. Nobody knows more about debt than I do. Nobody knows the game better than me.
I know more about contributions than anybody.
And who knows more about the word apprentice than Donald Trump?
I understand politicians better than anybody. Nobody knows politicians better than me.
Who knows the other side better than me?
Who knows the other side better than me?
I think I know more about the other side than almost anybody.
And I understand the other side. Perhaps I understand it better than anybody else.
I was the fair-haired boy. Nobody knows more about it than me. I know more than these politicians. These guys don't know anything.
I know a lot. I know more than I'm ever going to tell you.
He knows everything. He left out a couple things, though, to be fair, okay? Because, you know, he does know everything about it. But he left some things out. I'm really surprised, Mr. Former President. He knows a thing or two about rape. He forgot to mention that. He knows a thing or two about sexual abuse. He knows a thing or two about filing for bankruptcy and losing businesses. He knows how to burn his father's money. I know some people I used to work with in radio that are good at that as well. He knows how to put on orange makeup. You know, he knows a lot, ladies and gentlemen. You know, and it's unfortunate that Donald Trump thinks he knows everything about everything about everything. And this is who he is. Narcissism. Egotistical. You name it. And, you know, the sad part about it is that there are still so many people in this country, you know, that support him. There are still so many people in this country that believe everything that he says. Here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will take your phone calls on this. And I want to get your thoughts on this because I think it's important. You know, anytime an innocent person loses their life, whether it's someone who's documented or undocumented, it's equally as harmful to the family, the hurt, the pain. And I'm talking about Ruby Garcia, you know, a beautiful young woman who lost her life. And I would say the same about this hero police officer who was murdered in New York City. It's horrible, right? My heart goes out to their families. It's terrible. And I wish these things never happen. Sadly, in this country, they do, and it's horrible. But I want to get your thoughts on Donald Trump interjecting a lie, which was he met with Ruby Garcia's family. I know he met with this police officer's family. He was invited to the wake, but he certainly didn't meet with Rubio Garcia's family. What are your thoughts about that? Taking a tragedy and trying to turn it into political gain for you. I have a serious problem with that, and I think it's wrong. And I think most people in this country do, including hopefully most Republicans. You should never be using somebody's death to score political points, and you certainly shouldn't lie about it and say you met with the family. I mean, I can't even imagine the pain and the anguish that the Garcia family are going through, and now you have to answer to the fact that a former president's lying about meeting with your family. It's terrible. I'll open up the phone line, 702-221-7283, and again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Again, that's 702-221-SAVE is the number to call. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with your phone calls on the other side. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fund account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council, with a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen. I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, we're covering a lot of stories for you. We have the hush money case that is going to be starting on April 15th. Stormy Daniels is scheduled to be testifying, Michael Cohen as well, among others. So we're certainly going to be covering that. And we got some great guests lined up for you next week. Dr. McCullough is somebody who has made the rounds on right-wing media. Some would call him controversial. And he's going to be joining us next week. The Mooch, Anthony Scaramucci, he's going to be joining us on the show next week as well. So looking forward to that, and some many other special guests that are going to be joining us, talking a little bit about the murder of Ruby Garcia. It's a terrible story. Yes, it was an undocumented immigrant that murdered her, and I hope he goes to jail for the rest of his life. It's just such a horrible crime, and my heart goes out to the family. Donald Trump talking about it, I don't believe he's talking about it because he cares about who this woman was, but only to score political points. And then he lies, and he says that he met with the family. Well, Ruby's own sister says that did not happen. He hasn't spoken to any of Ruby's family members. We're taking your thoughts on that as well. And the number to call, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's start off with Eric. Eric is first up on Pushing the Limits. Eric, are you there? Eric? Okay. Eric, are you there? Okay, I think we need to pawn down Eric. What music would you call that, by the way? What music is Eric listening to? What is that? Should we keep him on?
Eric's listening to mariachi music.
Mariachi music. I like it. All right, we can move on now. Thank you, Eric, for the phone call. All All right, that's enough. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Patrick, who's next up on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Patrick?
Brian, hey, that was Tejano, buddy. That's what that was.
Gotcha. What's on your mind?
Hey, so we had a jobs report that came out today. Found it pretty interesting. Stellar jobs report, of course, man. Great numbers. But I want to direct you to the Philadelphia Fed that put out a report not too long ago stating that over $800,000 were overestimated in the last year.
Patrick, have I discussed any of this in the first segment? I'm happy to have a conversation with you.
Stuff impacts our lives, Brian.
Patrick, that's
Let's
your
talk about the jobs. I know you're a data guy.
Patrick, that's your opinion. If you want to call into right-wing shows and give your opinions on statistics that you can skew, you have the freedom to do that. But you see, on this show, people don't have a free-for-all to call into this show and change topics. I'm going to request that you remain on topic, or I'm going to move on to the next caller. I'm talking about Ruby Garcia, which I'm sure you don't have a problem with Donald Trump lying about the fact that he met with her family. Yes, that does affect people. When politicians use murder and they use heinous crimes to score political points, it does affect people. Ask the Garcia family. So I'm not interested in hearing about how you can skew job report numbers. Let me ask you a question. If you're capable of remaining on topic, I'm happy to have a conversation with you, Patrick. Are you okay with a former president or somebody running for office lying about meeting with a family of someone who died to score political points? Are you okay with that? Yes or no?
You talking about Joe Biden lying about his record?
Patrick, I'm going to ask you the question again because I know you struggle to answer questions like all you MAGA fools out there. So I'm going to ask it one more time. And I want you to focus because my question has nothing to do with Joe Biden and it has nothing to do with job numbers. I'm going to ask it again, Patrick, and let's see if you can play the game of answering a very fair question. And again, I repeat myself, it has nothing to do with Joe Biden. You can ask me a question about Joe Biden after you answer my question. I'll be very fair with you, Patrick. So I'm going to ask it again, Patrick, and I want you to do me a favor. Take, your finger or whatever it is and get the MAGA wax out of your ears and then wash your hands, okay? So I'm going to ask it again, Patrick, and I need you to listen very carefully. Are you okay with Donald Trump talking about the murder of Ruby Garcia and lying about meeting... Patrick, you need to let me finish because you struggle to listen too. Patrick, are you okay with Donald Trump lying and saying he met with Ruby Garcia's family? Yes or no? Answer the question directly, please.
Did Biden call the family?
Okay, Patrick, you see, when somebody in radio asks you a question, you answer the question. But you're so stupid, you're not even capable of answering, and you deflect, which is what many of you MAGA people do. Now, the answer, Patrick, to anybody that is a decent human being would be, no, I'm not okay with that. I think Donald Trump made a mistake. That would be what a normal human being would do. But do you notice, Patrick, how you can't answer the question and you try to answer it by saying Joe Biden? It's impossible to have a conversation with MAGA dopes like you. No, you're a dope. No, I don't. Get off my show. Have a nice day. You're an idiot. That's what these MAGA turds do. I ask you a very simple and direct question. Even if he said, yes, I'm okay with it, at least I would disagree with him, but at least to directly answer the question. They're not capable. They're not capable. When you ask them a direct question and facts, because that's what Donald Trump did, he used this woman's, and he used it, and he used her to score political points. That's exactly what he did, and Patrick won't answer the question. It's very disappointing, but not surprising. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-SAVE. We have Pastor Ruthie who's on the line. Pastor Ruthie, hi. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hi. I'm also a registered Republican, but I do not believe that in political agenda that a man, or I kind of think he's a cross-dresser, should use a family's death to try to gain ahead.
Yeah.
And it really makes me mad. And all these so-called preachers that are backing him on this agenda are not Christians.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
yeah.
better read their Bible. Even the devil knows what the Bible says.
I think it's even worse than that. You know what's even worse? I think you'll agree with me, is not only are you using somebody's death to score political points, but you're lying about meeting with her family. I mean, that is a new low even for Donald Trump. I didn't think he could get lower than that.
I totally agree. I deal with death on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah.
And to say, oh, I went and visited this family
right.
on a platform, you're full of crap.
I agree with you. I wish there were more Republicans like you out there. So what are you going to do? Let me ask you a question. You sound like a moral compass, logical Republican. What are you going to do in November?
Vote for Biden.
You know, it's interesting because I think you're the reason, and it's a good thing, and I think the reason why Donald Trump is not going to win is because of people like you. You've had it, right? You've had it with the Republican Party.
I voted for him in 2016 thinking that, okay, we're going to have a logical person.
Yeah.
Then after that, I thought, what the hell did I do?
Yeah, you know, I made a similar mistake, and even though I didn't vote for Donald Trump, and by the way, I'm not going to criticize you for making that mistake because there's a lot of people. I commend you for admitting that you made a mistake. You know, I saw Donald Trump, if you remember this, I'm sure you do, when he went into the White House with Barack Obama, and I saw a very subdued Donald Trump, right? He was very, it seemed like he was humbled by the experience, and I said, you know what? I think, and I was wrong, we both were. But I thought that was the type of president we would see. I think that he finally won, and he would tone down the rhetoric, and he would focus on being the president. That's what I thought. Boy, was I wrong. And listen.
I agree.
There's nothing wrong with it.
I met him in Palaca, Florida, and I thought, what a gentleman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very humble.
Right.
I need to take the boot out of my butt because I was totally wrong.
Yeah.
But to get back to Ruby, anybody, I don't care if you're political or whatever, you get on a platform and you make this statement knowing it's a lie, God's going to mark it in his book. Everything this man has done, a rapist, child molester, he's probably on drugs himself, somebody who also shows signs of syphilis, his mind is gone.
Yeah.
And I ran into a lot of issues where churches are wanting to tell people how to vote. Excuse me.
Can I ask you? I have to ask you this, because what would you say to your fellow Republicans out there, the MAGA Republicans, those that like Patrick, who just called in, those that refuse to call out Donald Trump or anything?
Patrick sounded like a total dummy.
Well, he is. But yeah, that's here nor there. But yeah, you're right. I think most of the MAGA Republicans are. But like, what would you say to them, to a staunch Republican who is going to vote for Donald Trump, even knowing that he's a horrible human being, that they're still going to vote for him because he has an R next to his name? What would you say to those people?
I would tell them they actually need to read the Constitution and realize that he is planning to be king. He is not planning to be a president.
You're right.
You're
right.
Putting his people into power where they can get rid of the Congress and the Senate so he can put his family in, and they will try to rule the United States where we would end up being partners with Putin.
Yeah. No, listen, I appreciate your call, and I'm glad that there are Republicans out there like you, and that's why Trump is not going to win in November. I truly believe that it's not going to be because of Democrats. It's going to be because of people like you, people on the other side, and some independents that have had enough. And I thank you for your phone call. And I am going to thank people like you in November. Let me tell you, my dear. Thank you so much for calling in. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Mary Jane, who's next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Mary Jane.
Hi, Mr. Shapiro. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you? What's on your mind?
Okay, regarding, regarding Ruby Garcia.
Yeah.
I think it's completely despicable of Donald Trump to politicize her death to try to attract all these MAGA supporters that he has.
Can I ask you this? Like, can you imagine, and it's hard to imagine this, right? But can you imagine, God forbid, you lose a family member to a heinous crime, a murder, right? And then any politician, it could be Donald Trump, could be anybody, any politician bringing up your family member's name weeks after she died and lying and claiming that you met or he met with your or she met with your family. I mean, you're grieving the loss of your family member, and now you got to deal with a politician who's using your family member who was murdered. You just buried them to score political points and lying. I mean, I can't imagine how angry I would be at that.
Of course, that's a natural reaction.
Yeah.
You have to understand that this man, he's a lying liar who lies.
That's pretty good at explaining it. A lying liar who lies. You're absolutely right. I agree with you. Yeah.
And he's mentally ill. I mean, this man is mentally ill. I'll tell you one thing that I need to share with you.
Sure.
I think that the 8 years we had with President Obama, they were peaceful. There was no violence. And then President Biden came in, and he did the best he could. But then Trump, who refused to accept the loss, incited violence, called people to commit crimes.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying. To be fair, of course, in every presidency, there's going to be violence. It doesn't mean I'm going to blame Barack Obama for it. But I get the logistics of what you're saying in that,
there wasn't as much crime during that administration as there is now.
Sure.
I feel now there's a lot of hate.
Oh, sure.
Lack of empathy.
I agree. Yeah, I get the logistic. Yeah, sure. I get the logistic. I absolutely get the logistic of what you're saying. And you're right. I think, and by the way, thank you so much for the call, dear. I appreciate it. I think, and I say this all the time on the show, and I think you'll agree with me, and I think a lot of people will, that there's always going to be bad people in this country. There's always going to be bigots, right? There's always going to be racist and homophobes. Those people are always going to exist, not just in this country, but in the world. But what Donald Trump did is he gave those people a platform to be comfortable in their bigotry, to speak out with their bigotry. And that, to me, is a big issue. And you're right. I think we're more divided in this country politically now than we've been in my lifetime. I'm 43 years old. I think we're maybe more divided racially now than we've been in my lifetime. And yes, I do blame a lot of that on Donald Trump, and that's not because I have Trump derangement syndrome. And for the people out there that will make that claim that I have Trump derangement syndrome, you have TFS, Trump fellatio syndrome. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Joseph, who's next up on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Joseph?
Yeah, hey, Brian. First of all, hearing that story about Ruby Garcia and Trump saying he met the family, I do agree with the sister of Ruby Garcia that Trump did not meet any of them. Like I said, all he's doing is using the death of the police officer who got killed, and he's using Ruby Garcia's death, and I think he's using Laken Riley's death as political points to gain the re-election. And I don't see why nobody didn't notice about it. I mean, I know about it.
Right.
I'm sure the Democrats knew about it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Joseph. I can't think of anything more despicable that you can do when talking about a beautiful, innocent woman's death, politicizing it, and then lying and saying that you met with her family. I mean, what's even worse, how stupid is Donald Trump? How dumb of an individual do you have to be? Forget about being a despicable person for a moment. That's evident. We all agree on that. At least you and I do. But how dumb of a person, Joseph, do you have to be to lie and say you met with the family? Did he not think that the family would come out and call him a liar and say, wait, we never, unless they were huge MAGA supporters, which I guess they're not here nor there, but Did he think he would get away with this lie? How stupid do you have to be to say something like that?
I know, I agree with that. And speaking of political violence, I knew that knowing Trump, that's all he wanted. He wants to see political violence across the United States.
Sure he does. Yeah, absolutely. Why would he put up on Truth Social imagery of Joe Biden hogtied? The man wants to incite violence. When he heard the chants on January 6th, hang Mike Pence, there were people around him that said he liked it. He didn't have a problem with it. He'll sell anybody out. Anybody.
And speaking of Trump, if he likes to punch a protester in the face, I like to see him try to knock me down. I can knock him out so hard, I want to see his gut out.
I can guarantee you that Donald Trump has never been in any sort of physical fight in his entire life, Joseph. And I would say anybody, especially you, could take him. But I appreciate the call, Joseph. Good to hear from you, my friend. I hope you have a great weekend. 702-221-7283. By the way, it was Donald Trump that said, I'd like to rough that guy up. I'd like to punch him in the face. Hey, if you rough that guy up, I'll pay your legal fees. Oh, yeah, but Donald Trump doesn't incite violence, right? Oh, no. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Barbara. Barbara is next up on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Barbara?
Hi. I've been just listening to all your past people that. Well, I just wanted to say that about what Donald Trump said about Ruby Garcia. That's just so sick, and it's like he has no shame when they call him out on it, and it's like you call the Republicans out on it. It's like they have no shame either. It's like they double down on their lies.
Isn't it incredible? You're absolutely right. And isn't it incredible that when I do have a MAGA caller that calls into this show from time to time, and that's the way I like it. I like people that might disagree. I like having callers that disagree, but when I ask them a very specific question about how do you feel about Trump lying about meeting with the family, and obviously that's proof, it's the evidence. The family said they haven't met with Trump. And when I ask them that question, when I ask a MAGA caller that, they say, oh, but what about Joe Biden? They can't directly answer a question because it's indefensible.
Exactly.
It's indefensible.
Exactly.
Listen, there are people that I support, and when they make a mistake, I say, yeah, he probably shouldn't have said that. But you know what? When Joe Biden makes a mistake, he apologizes. And listen, I don't like to compare.
Yes.
I don't like to compare in any way, shape, or form Joe Biden to Donald Trump. And in this aspect, I will. And I don't think it was malicious. But when Joe Biden said, you ain't black if you're not voting for me, he made a mistake. But guess what? He admitted he made a mistake, and he apologized for it. And I don't think he was being malicious, but he said he was wrong, and he apologized.
And another thing, too, is when Donald Trump about the Bible thing and stuff, and my son was so outraged. My son preaches the ministry here and there, and my son was outraged when Donald Trump said that he didn't have no reason to ask for forgiveness because he has never sinned. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
You can tell your son though that there's a big deal if he's willing to pay. He's selling Bibles for $60, but it's 2 for $120. So let him know, and maybe you'll throw in a $400 pair of gold Trump sneakers as well. See if you're. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Throw that in there. Throw that in there as well.
I did argue with one of my girlfriends on Facebook. I've known her since high school, and when Trump said about the bloodbaths, and then he tried to put it off as auto industry, and I said no, he did not. And she said, obviously you don't watch the news. And I said, are you kidding, woman? I said, I watch the news from 4 o'clock till I go to bed.
Well, that's probably somebody that watches Newsmax and OAN all day and Fox Noise.
Exactly, or Fox.
Fox. Yeah, Fox Noise or Tucker, the white supremacist Tucker Carlson. Hey, it's good to hear from you.
But you just keep doing what you're doing,
Thank
Brian.
you.
And I appreciate you.
You tell your son to smarten up for me, okay?
Yep, you will.
All right. You take care. You have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a good one. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hey, Jeff, what's going on, man?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Ruby Garcia's death was horrible. Aside from that, and his reaction, of course, is despicable, like everything else about this man. Aside from that, wasn't there a bill that the Republicans co-wrote to deal with the immigration system?
Yes.
Okay. What happened to that practice? I'm still confused about that.
Well, it's a very good question you ask. And by the way, we agree. Yes, despicable the way Trump talked about Ruby Garcia and lies about meeting with her family. Well, I'll tell you what happened, and I'm going to say it in layman's terms. And I've talked about this before, Jeff. Democrats like Joe Biden and staunch Democrats and even MAGA Republicans, and I give them credit, people like Mr. Langford, who Trump once characterized as really strong on immigration policy. They sat at the table. It's not a perfect bill. Both sides didn't get everything that they wanted, but they worked together to try to do something, even though they didn't agree with everything in the bill. I'll tell you exactly what happened. Donald Trump, with his little fingers, picked up the phone. He called Mike Johnson, and he spoke to House Republicans, and he told them, don't sign off on this bill unless it's perfect. And the reason why he said that is because he doesn't want any bipartisan bills passing while Joe Biden is president, because he cares more about winning an election than what's good for the American people. And sadly, the people like Mike Johnson and other House Republicans out there do not care about the economy. They do not care about the border, even though they say they do. They only care about remaining in power and doing everything that Cheeto Jesus tells them to do. That's exactly what happened in this bill. And it said it all, Jeff, if you watch the State of the Union. When Joe Biden was showing his disappointment that Republicans, many of them didn't support this bill and didn't pass the bill, and he was talking about what was in the bill. And if you remember, Mr. Langford, the MAGA Republican who helped put this together, was shaking his head in agreement with Joe Biden when he talked about what was in this bill. That's all you need to know about these House Republicans that were sitting behind him. They care more about what Donald Trump tells them to do rather than what's good for the American people and good for the country. I don't want to hear any of these people complain about the border. They had a bill that was put forth that would have helped, and they said no because they only care about what Donald Trump tells them to do. That's why.
That's a fact.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. It's a sad time. This is the Republican Party today, Jeff. What do you want me to say? This is the Republican Party today. It's the Donald Trump Party. Not everybody's like that. There are some good Republicans out there. I talk to them every day. I respect the hell out of Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger. You know, these are the types of people that don't put their party first. They put America first. And it's so interesting that Donald Trump calls it an America first agenda. No, it's not. It's the opposite. It's a Donald Trump first agenda. That's all he cares about.
Yeah, many of our friends and family, Brian, all of us are affected and know people and good people. And you know what? I was listening, and I love when I hear from people who voted for Trump and say they now have seen, you know, they've seen who he is.
Right.
Come on over, come on back, everybody. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
We need you. We need you all. And
I'm going to tell you something, Jeff. I'm going to say it again. This is why Donald Trump is not going to win in November. I don't care what the polls say, even though some polls came out yesterday that looked pretty good for Joe Biden. I'm not paying attention to the polls. There are way too many people like that, Jeff, in this country. Reasonable Republicans, they are out there, and independents that are not going to be voting for Donald Trump. Listen, there's a lot of Republicans out there probably won't be voting for Joe Biden either, but they're not voting for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump desperately needs their vote. Desperately.
Yeah.
There's always going to be his base of the MAGA deplorables out there that are going to support him. I get that. But I just think the Democrats ain't voting for Donald Trump, I'll tell you that. And a lot of independents that I talk to, myself included, are not voting for Donald Trump either, and that's why he's going to lose in November, Jeff.
Yes. I think the women are going to be the say in this myself.
I agree. I think that's going to be a big part of it. Jeff, it's good to hear from you, my friend, and I appreciate the phone call. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
702-221-7283 is the number to call. And again, 702-221-SAVE is the number if you want to be a part of the conversation. Oh, isn't this pleasant today? We're hearing from another MAGA caller. You know her as Julie, MAGA Julie, calling into the show. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Julie. Do you mind if I start this conversation by asking you a question, and then I'll let you ask me whatever you like? Is that fair?
Absolutely fair.
Okay, but do me a favor, if you can, try to answer the question directly, if that's okay, and then I promise you, I will. Thank you, and then I promise you, I will let you ask me whatever you like. It's a simple question, right? At least I think it's a simple question. You know the story of Ruby. You know the story of Ruby Garcia. We all agree it's a horrible tragedy, terrible, murder. How do you feel about? Yeah, of course. How do you feel about Donald Trump lying? Because that's what he did. and saying that he met with the family when he never did. Are you okay with that? I guess that's my question.
No, I'm not okay with anyone lying. Absolutely no.
Especially in this case, right? When it comes to an innocent woman that lost her life.
Absolutely.
Would you characterize it as despicable, or how would you characterize this lie?
That's despicable. I don't like people to be lying but this is what I think, okay? So in this case specifically, because there are rumors, and I don't know what is the truth behind this.
Julie,
this might
Julie,
be
hold on.
proxy.
Julie, it's not a rumor. Ruby's family members, including her sister.
The sister, Mabi.
Okay.
Mabi Garcia. I'm familiar with the case.
Okay, good. So why would you characterize it as a rumor when the sister is on record doing an interview saying that Trump did not speak with her, but any of her immediate family members, didn't speak to any of the family? And then we have her direct quote in a New York publication that stated exactly the words, word for word, of what Donald Trump described as Ruby Garcia in the New York Post. So why? I'm just curious. I appreciate you answering the question, but why would you characterize it as a rumor? I don't understand.
Okay. Oh, no, I mean, there are several possibilities here. Trump lied about speaking to Ruby's family. A Trump proxy spoke to the family and Trump took credit for it. Or someone spoke to the family and Mavi didn't know about it. So I don't know why Trump
Hey, Ruby.
said that.
Hey, Julie, which one of those three you think is happening?
Brian, actually, I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, so Julie, you have her sister that has said on the record that Donald Trump hasn't spoken to any of her family members. When a sister makes a statement like that, you still think there's a possibility that Trump spoke to her family? Come on, Julie, come on. Stop.
We could find out what really happened in the next few days.
Julie, stop. You started off
Because
very well. Julie.
Some other media has been trying to reach her, and she denies to speak to the media.
Julie, there is zero evidence that Donald Trump met or...
Well, we have to look at the evidence. When you say evidence, we have to look at phone calls.
Julie,
or,
don't you think... Okay, Julie, let me ask you another question. Don't you think that if Donald Trump spoke to any members of Ruby Garcia's family, that her sister probably would have known about it? Is that far-fetched to think that, Julie?
No, I'm believing that the family.
Okay, so we agree. Ruby's sister probably would know if the former president of the United States spoke with any of her immediate family members. She'd probably know that. Now, her sister was 100% adamant that Donald Trump didn't speak to any of Ruby's family members. Yet Donald Trump was on a stage yesterday and said that he spoke to not a family member, her family members. That is a lie, and you called it correctly at the beginning.
It's better that is a lie. Now, can I ask you a question?
Sure. I'm glad you admitted it was a lie. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure, but let's say that I'm going with the family in this case.
I think that's probably. I think that's probably a smart thing to do. That's probably a logical thing to do.
That the logical thing is to go with the family because the family knows better.
I would agree.
In my opinion.
Yes, I would agree.
But I can,
What was your question,
But
Julie?
what about what do you think it? Because many times I have said in your show that Biden revoked Trump's border policy that were working in. Because of that, Rudy Garcia was killed by an illegal with criminal history that was deported, and then Biden administration allowed back into the country. Do you think that's more?
Okay.
I mean, I'm not trying to.
Okay, so let me answer. So let me answer your question. First of all, there's no evidence that Ruby's murderer got into this country illegally because of Joe Biden or a failed policy. So I want to be very clear on that. Number one. Number two. There were murders that took place in this country. Sadly, one is too many. But there are murders that took place in this country from those that are undocumented, under the Donald Trump administration. So to make a claim that it's the president's fault is also, in my opinion, not factually accurate. Number three, we just talked about it with Jeff, the last caller. We had a border bill that was put in place. MAGA Republicans are the ones that voted against it. They're the ones that are not serious about fixing this problem. This is not just a Donald Trump problem or a Republican problem. It's not just a Democrat problem or a Joe Biden problem. This is
Brian,
this is hold on. I'm getting to the answer. This is an American problem. We have a problem at the border that needs to be fixed. We also have a problem with those who overstay their visas for decades and decades. We have a lot of problems in this country. This is one of them, and Republicans and Democrats attempted to, and they need to continue to work together to try to fix the problem. And saying that a murder is on Joe Biden's, the blood of Joe Biden or vice versa is wrong.
Don't tell my. Listen. Joe Biden has a pen and he can pass executive orders.
Okay, so he can shut down the border. You're right. And by the way, he said he would. Let me ask you a question then. Why didn't Donald Trump shut down the border when he was president? Can you answer that question for me? Because he had the authority to do so.
He did it. He passed executive order.
That's not what I asked you. I didn't ask you about passing executive order. Donald Trump had the authority to shut down the border, which I hear so many Republicans asking Joe Biden to do. My question to you is, why didn't Donald Trump shut down the border? He had the authority. Why didn't he do it?
When he was in office, he shut down the border?
No, he did not shut down the border.
He passed executive order.
Julie, Donald Trump did not shut down the border. That is factually inaccurate. Why won't you answer that question? You want to say, why isn't Joe Biden doing this? Why isn't Joe Biden doing that? Why didn't Donald Trump shut down the border? He did not shut down the border.
Donald Trump passed executive order that we're working to protect us.
You are claiming like many
people were waiting in Mexico.
Okay, Julie, you are claiming like many other MAGA Republicans that Joe Biden should shut down the border. My question to you is not about executive orders. It's specifically about shutting down the border. And I've asked you now several times, why didn't Donald Trump shut down the border? Well,
he controlled the border.
Okay, Julie, I know he controlled the border. I know that. He didn't shut it down. Julie, I appreciate your call. I got to get to some other callers, okay? Thank you for answering my question. I tried to answer yours respectfully as well. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Eva is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Eva.
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Hi, Brian. I have a question. By the way, I am a staunch Democrat. I would never vote for Donald Trump. I knew about things that Donald Trump did in New York when I lived in New York back in the 70s. And so I know from that he's a racist. And so I would never vote for him. Mm-hmm. But my question is this. Donald Trump has violated so many gag orders.
Yeah.
He has put on a picture on the back of a truck with the president tied up.
Right.
Now, they say that Donald Trump is not above the law. But my thing is this. If an ordinary person did what Donald Trump has done, they would have been in jail a long time ago.
Probably. I don't disagree with you there. And by the way, that
and I really do believe that I don't know what happens to the laws of this country as far as he's concerned.
Yeah.
But if he's above the law and he keeps breaking the law, why isn't he in jail?
Well, there's a couple reasons and a lot of reasons. Number one, sadly, and it's interesting because Republicans call it a two-tier justice system, but, money can buy you out of jail sometimes. Let's put it that way. Money equals power sometimes. And, I don't know how much money Donald Trump has, but I do know this.
Right.
I do know this. And in my personal opinion, the way that he's lived his life, the things that he's done in his life, if his skin color was different than the orange skin color that he has now, particularly, I don't think that he would be in the situation he's in. I think he'd be in a much worse situation. But with that being said, he is facing 91 felony counts, and I think the chickens are coming home to roost, and I think he's in a lot of legal trouble. In fact, I know he is. I don't know what's going to happen with this hush money Stormy Daniels case, but I can tell you Jack Smith's got him in a lot of trouble. We'll see how that plays out.
And the other thing, one more question, and I'm going to get off.
Yep.
The judge, Judge Cannon.
Yeah.
She was appointed by Donald Trump.
Correct.
So what's to say that she's not going to do everything she can under the law to get him exonerated?
Well, she's already done him a few favors. She hasn't, but she hasn't thrown out the case. Thank goodness. She hasn't. He doesn't have immunity. But that is a good point. She certainly has delayed the case. She is under a lot of public scrutiny, and this is a huge case. So I don't think she's. Let me put it to you this way. I don't think she's going to do something so egregious that it's obvious. But that is a concern, and I think that is a very fair concern. And I appreciate your phone call, and I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for calling in, and I hope to hear from you again. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Let's go to Herb. Herb is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Herb.
Hey, Brian. Thank you for taking my call again. I wanted to ask you two questions, but the first question is, because I'm not sure, I didn't hear it right. When you played the clip of what Donald Trump had said, did he say he had talked to members of the family?
Yes, he did.
Or did he say
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah, he didn't say he met with anybody, did he?
He said he spoke with members of her family.
Okay, well, that's different from meeting with members of the family.
Whether he said he met with them or he spoke with them, it's a lie, and that's the important part.
Okay. But I think it's important that you say that he talked or he spoke with
so let me
members
ask
of the family,
you.
don't you?
So let me ask you a question.
No. I want to ask you one more question.
Okay,
Brian,
but hold on.
Before you get...
Okay, but hold on. Let's do one at a time, and then I'll gladly let you ask me another question. Is it more important whether he met or spoke with, or is it more important that it was a lie either way? What's more important to you from a moral compass standpoint? Does it bother you more that he lied about speaking with the family or meeting or talking? What's more important to you, Herb?
Okay, what's more important is the fact that I hope he didn't lie and say he spoke with somebody in the family and didn't meet with them.
Well,
I hope he didn't do that.
So do
I
you
hope
think
he didn't lie about
you think
that.
her sister's lying?
I don't think she is, but I don't. Okay. We don't. Maybe he spoke to somebody and she doesn't know about it.
Okay, so
but here's the other
you
question.
Think? Hold on. I'll let you ask me another question. But you really believe that that's a possibility, that Ruby Garcia's sister was unaware that Donald Trump reached out to specific members of her family? You actually even think that could be a possibility? Herb, come on, man.
I don't listen, Brian. Listen to me now. I don't think it is.
Okay.
I
think
she would know. I think she would know whether or not he spoke to somebody in the family.
So, Herb, I agree. So,
Herb, let me say this: listen, Brian. I'm more upset by the fact that we have enough crime in this country, but for the fact that so many people are coming in illegally and they're committing crimes, that bothers me more than anything else. Now, I agree. If he did lie about it, he was wrong for doing that. But I'm more upset by the fact that she was murdered by somebody that came into the country illegally. But here's my question to you. And I want to just ask, because I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this. Did Joe Biden not campaign on opening up the borders to asylum seekers when he ran for president? Didn't he campaign on that?
So Joe Biden never campaigned on opening up any borders. I have no idea where you're getting that from. Number two, if you want to talk about presidents who campaign on things that they don't follow through on, you voted.
No. I don't want to talk. I don't want to.
Well, I don't really care which way you don't want to go. I'm going to answer your question the way I want to answer it, not the way a MAGA person wants me to answer it. This is my show. These are my opinions. I answer your question the way I want to, whether you like it or not.
Wait, this isn't Pushing the Limits with Herb?
No, it's not Pushing the Limits with Herb.
Damn.
Herb is welcome to call in. Herb, I didn't hang up on you, but I'm going to answer the question the way I want to. The answer is no. Joe Biden did not campaign on we're going to open the borders. By the way, the idea that somehow it helps Joe Biden doesn't make sense either, because if you're undocumented, you can't vote for president in November elections. Number two, Donald Trump, the guy that you voted for, who I would assume you're going to be voting for in 2024, this year in November, is the guy who in 2016 ran on, we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. He built 16% of the wall. Mexico didn't pay $1 for it. He also said he was going to hire special prosecutors to try to go after Hillary Clinton. He never did that either. So, I don't think you had a problem with that. He ran on those two things in 2016. You don't have a problem with that, Herb?
Well, here's what I don't have a problem with.
You
I
won't
don't have
answer
a
the
problem with the fact that
You won't answer my
no,
question.
no. But let me say this. No.
You won't directly answer the question that I just asked you.
I know I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
I think that the Congress fought him. The Republican, Democrat Congress fought him tooth and nail not to build a wall. I remember that. You remember that.
He had the authority. Number one, he built 16% of the wall. Mexico didn't pay for it.
Okay,
He also hold on. He also had the authority to shut down the border. He didn't do that either. So what's your excuse? He said he was going to hire special prosecutors to go after Hillary Clinton. How come
Did he not pass 94 executive orders to stop the illegal immigration over the border? And did not Biden overturn those when he first got in office?
Herb, that wasn't the question. The question was he said he was going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay
no,
for
because
it.
you don't want to answer. You don't want to answer my question.
No.
You don't want to answer my question.
How can I answer,
94
Herb? This is the point where I get a little frustrated with you. I asked you a question, and it was about the wall. It wasn't about executive orders or other policies that you may agree or disagree with. Now, he also ran on, we're going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. What Democrats would you like to blame for that, Herb? You didn't answer the second part of my question. Herb, you're still talking and you're not listening. You didn't answer the second part of my question. Have a nice day, Herb. 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Andrea. Andrea is next. Hello, Andrea.
It's Andrea. Thank
I'm
you,
sorry.
Brian. How are you?
Andrea, how are you? You can call me Brain, and I'll be okay with that. Go right ahead.
I'm just disgusted. Absolutely disgusted. But, I'm not shocked. What shocked me is if Trump ever did tell the truth. The man is not capable of being honest.
I'm going to have to disagree. I think he was the one time he was really honest is when he said, I can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they'll still vote for me. I think that was one of the most.
Right.
So once in a while he gets it right.
One of the very few times.
Yeah, we got to get it right. I mean, once in a while we got to give him credit. At least he was telling the truth there. Or when he told the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by, I think he was being very genuine.
You know what? The guy he disgusts me. I can't even use his name. Yeah. I just get sick.
Cheeto Jesus.
And you can't reason with his supporters. You just can't.
No, you can't.
They don't see him for what he is.
You can't. And even if some of them do, they don't care. As long as he has an R next to his name. He's a very mentally ill man. I don't know what his father did to him. But there's not many people in this country that are like Donald Trump. I mean, there's some bad people in this country, and there's some mentally ill people in this country. But this is a man who will never admit he's wrong about anything. Like, never.
Oh, I know.
No humility, no moral compass. And, it's amazing to me that they twist in a pretzel. Even if they say to themselves, I hope Donald Trump wasn't lying. Like, they can't just flat out say, geez, what Donald Trump did was disgusting, using this woman's death for political points and then lying and saying that he met with her family. Oh, but maybe he spoke to one of her great, grandson or family member or whatever. It's like they can't just flat out say, geez, I would have never done that. It's horrible,
The Republicans in office today are more concerned with their own careers than they are with what's beneficial for our country.
Yeah.
They don't give a damn anymore.
They don't. And all we could do is fight them at the ballot box, right? That's all we can do. And, Joe Biden's not my first, second or third pick, but boy, I think he's a decent human being, and I vote for him over Trump.
He is a decent human being.
He is
absolutely decent.
It is, yes, of course. Isn't it interesting that, a lot of these people that are still clinging on to Donald Trump, they're the ones that want to go after Joe Biden's family. They're the ones that want to go after Hunter Biden. They're the ones that call them the Biden crime family. They'll call Joe Biden a pedophile. We did the diary nonsense the other day And, they want to call Joe Biden the pedophile or the sexual abuser when proven in a court of law by a jury of Donald Trump's peers. It's Donald Trump who is the sexual abuser. The judge characterized it as rape, by the way. But it really, you can't have reasonable conversations with unreasonable, uneducated people. I'm learning that as I get older. You just can't.
No, you can't. I mean, Biden has been in public office for like 50 years, and there has never been one person to come forward and complain that he's made any sexual advantage.
Yeah.
Any.
I'll even take it a step further. You're absolutely right. Yeah. I'll take it a step further. All the people that have worked for Joe Biden, have you heard anybody come out and say, boy, I'll never work for Joe Biden again. He's unfit for office. You know, the dozens and dozens and dozens of people, generals, those that worked in Donald Trump's administration, even his former vice president, they're all coming out saying they're not going to support him. They're not going to vote for him. So many saying that he's unfit for office, Barr and so many others. I haven't heard of one person that worked for Joe Biden that's ever said anything close to what all these people are saying about Donald Trump. And they all worked for the guy. These are staunch Republicans.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and that says it all.
100%.
That says it all.
Yep. Unfortunately, I live in the not-so-great state of Florida.
Oh.
And so I have to deal with DeSantis, who is another asshole. Pardon my French.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought those white boots he wore were very sexy, but you're right. He is an a-hole. I appreciate your phone call. Thank you so much. You be good out there in Florida and stay safe. Say hello to DUI Venmo Matt Gates for me. Thanks for the phone call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Victor. What's up, Victor?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Long time to hear from you. I've been listening to what you have, the topic you have today.
Well, thank you. What are your thoughts?
It's a great one.
Thank you.
Yeah, listen. There's a couple of things that I just want to say to those MAGA minions. Okay,
yep.
Is when their Orange Jesus was in the Oval, it was in the White House. He is slaughtered. Okay, he ripped more than 1,500 infants from mother's arms. Okay. Mm-hmm. He didn't give a crap, okay? He didn't worry about undocumented people crying. He didn't give a crap how many kids in the school has been slaughtered because no one gave a damn about gun control.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
I don't see undocumented people running into the Capitol and slaughter 150 cops.
And Donald Trump characterized those people as patriots and hostages, by the way.
So I'm sick and tired calling criminals when the undocumented community has the lowest crime in this country.
Yeah.
But no one's complaining about that, isn't it? Nobody complains about Ruth Dillon going and kill 9 people into a church, and they end up giving the water and taking to McDonald's. Nice MAGA minion.
Yeah, well, the word is hypocrite and what's politically convenient, and I think it says it all about where the Republican Party is at today when you have the leader of their party talking about an innocent woman who was brutally murdered by an undocumented immigrant, and he lies, and he says that he spoke with the family, and I don't hear a lot of MAGA or really any MAGA on the far right calling Donald Trump out for that, and then we're supposed to be led to believe, Victor, that he cares about police officers. I do appreciate your call, Victor. Thank you very much. I got to get to some other callers. It is good to hear from my friend, and you are 100% right. Let's go to Ricardo. Ricardo is next up on Pushing the Limits. What's going on, Ricardo?
Yes, sir. I live over here in Miramar Beach, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Where the guy that started the fund to build the wall that never got built, he's in prison right now. A lot of people don't talk about him.
Okay.
You know Brian, the Air Force veteran that only has 3 limbs, and Steve, the president, pardon Steve, the other guy that was embezzling the money to build the wall. You can Google that.
I believe you. I believe you.
But nobody talks about a veteran that started Build the Wall Fund.
Well, I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about a wall, but I'll tell you this: if we're going to talk about veterans, the last person who should be talking about them is Donald Trump.
especially. He should have been in Vietnam in '67 with me.
Amen. And God bless you for your service. And he called people like you suckers and losers. I don't know how any veteran can support this guy.
I'm over here by Eglin Air Force Base. I got bumper stickers on my truck that says, "We're not suckers or losers. We are veterans. What are you?"
I love it. People like you are heroes. You give me the opportunity to talk on the radio every day because of brave individuals like yourself. And I don't understand how anyone who served this country honorably could support a guy who calls you suckers and losers. Like, I just don't understand. I can't comprehend it.
I can't understand how veterans can support him. That makes me sick. I go on the base. I'm 100% disabled. I got a commissary on base or medical. And I have those bumper stickers. I've been stopped by pilots for the F-35 that they train here.
Yeah.
And they said, "Get those bumper stickers." I thought they were going to yell at me and cuss me out. And they said, I had them made. He says, "Can I have one? Can you tell me one?"
I love it. If I'm going to tell you something, if you send me one, I will gladly put it on the back of my car if you ever send me one. But listen, sir, I got to run, but I want to say this again because it's very, very important. You are a hero. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for thank you. Well, I know, but you're a hero, and your service to this country can never be forgotten. And you need to be taken care of, whether that be health care, financially, any way, shape, or form. We got to stop taking care of these billionaires and these tax cuts. And we got to take care of people like you because you are the true heroes of what makes America great, sir. And thank you for what you do. I appreciate you, sir.
You take care.
It's good that you take care as well. Thank you, sir. And you call back anytime. Thank you for your service. Thank you so much. 702-221-SAVE. Who are we going to next here? Let's go to Damon. Damon's next. What's up, Damon?
Hey, what's going on, Brian?
How you doing?
I'm all right. First thing, I don't like this Xanax, Zoloft, Prozac Julie you done turned her into since you cut her off, man. She was beautiful the way she was before. Now she all nice and gentle. She was like, before she was like a Fez from the 70s show and Marjorie Taylor Greene had a baby. It was just entertaining, man. And now she's just too nice. But to Trump. Trump, the thing about him lying, I don't understand how the evangelicals support him so much because they behind him 110%. Almost, some of them saying God sent him to him. Yeah. Now, why would God send you a fornicator, a adulterer, liar, thief, no morals, no values, and you hold him up as almost a messiah?
Yeah, well, these
Those
are sick.
Ones I don't get.
These are sick people. These are sick people that say God brought us Donald Trump. These are fools. These are sick people, right? I mean,
Trump is the complete opposite of Jesus, though.
The opposite.
If
I
you
agree.
say the opposite of Jesus, it would be Trump.
He judges people based on looks, based on sexuality, based on skin color. He's one of the biggest sinners of them all. He had unprotected sex with a porn star months after Barron was born. He is a liable sexual abuser. Can't be faithful to any woman in his life. He's a snake oil salesman. He is the definition of a life-walking sin, is what he is.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know if you paid attention. Kenneth Copeland, the big ones, not just the little, the big church, and I don't know. Trump may be an antichrist. It might be the second coming, Brian, if you follow Christianity.
He might be
because he reminds me of the antichrist. Every description of the antichrist is Trump.
He is a very dangerous man. Many of his far-right MAGA brainwashed supporters are also dangerous people, and we cannot let them win. We cannot let Donald Trump win come November. I appreciate your call, Damon. I hope you have a great weekend, my friend. I got to run. I got to grab a few more callers, and then we got to take a break. Let's go to Mary. Mary is next up on PTL. What's up, Mary?
Hey, Brian. Pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you for calling in.
I am so terrified of Dumpster. I won't call him by his name. He is evil. He has created so much hell in the U.S. Oh, God.
I know, it's frustrating. I feel your pain.
He needs to be in prison.
He does. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think he's going to be a convicted felon. I think even more...
He needs to be.
Well, even more important than that is we got to make sure he doesn't ever get back into the White House, because that would be really, really
He wants to be a dictator. If he gets in 24, he's going to change things so he can be dictator until he dies.
Agree.
He's a Putin girlfriend.
You're right. Normal people look up to true heroes like our brave men and women in uniform, like that last gentleman who just called in. Some people look up to sports figures, and that's okay, or somebody like a Martin Luther King, right? But Donald,
he's awesome.
But Donald Trump looks up to evil, murderous dictators, whether it be Kim Jong-un or Vladimir Putin. He looks up to these kinds of people. Adolf Hitler. I mean, I really believe.
He would like to be Hitler as well as Putin.
I mean, I think he looks up to evil, murderous dictators, so I'm not going to deny that. Do I think Donald Trump wants to kill 7 million Jews? No, probably not. I hope not. But I do believe...
No, he wants to kill all the black people. We are all related.
I think you're right in this. He wants to be a dictator. He's a wannabe dictator. There's a reason why he writes love letters to Kim Jong-un. I don't think it's just because he's sexually attracted to him. Let's put it that way. It is good to hear from you, man.
Well, he probably is.
He might be. You might be right on that. He might be.
His wife won't even touch him. He's a pig.
Yeah, well, you're right about that.
You're
but,
right.
But at one point, Melania Trump did touch him. That's why I don't have a lot of respect for her either. But I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. 702-221-SAVE. We got to get a couple more quick calls, then we got to take a break. Let's go to Nelson. Nelson's next. What's up, Nelson?
What's going on?
How you doing, my friend? Go ahead.
Good. If it meant, getting caught in lies, if it meant losing a tooth, Donald Trump would have no teeth right now.
Oh,
That's
you're right.
how much he lies. And look, as a country as a whole, we have somebody running for president who is not eligible to run a business.
Yeah.
I think 3 years in the state of New York.
Yeah.
Why should we elect somebody to run a country if he's not eligible to run a business?
Well, that's certainly obvious, right? I mean, when you look at all the businesses that have shut down and you look at all the money that he's burned, and when you look at the way he run the thousands of civil lawsuits that he faced even before he got into political life, I agree with you 150%, but people don't care. There are brainwashed individuals out there that think he's a wonderful businessman. There are brainwashed individuals out there that think that, whatever he touches, it turns to gold, and you can't really talk to those people.
Look at what he did with his deceased wife.
Yeah.
Right, the till death do us part. Right, it means something. But yet, where does he have her buried?
First hole of his golf course. First hole of his golf course. It's despicable.
As a result, he gets a tax deduction of his taxes every year in New Jersey. So
that's who he is.
Not even in death. Not even in death.
Yeah,
you could be done with that guy. So he's gonna lose again.
You're right. I hope so.
And I think this country is just, given what he's trying to do to shred the Constitution, I think they're just going to vote against him again and just say, be done with him, because it really is a travesty. He's lost so much, and he's on his way out, and he knows he has nothing left. Yeah. So when this is all said and done...
I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to make a prediction for you. I do believe he's going to lose in November. I do believe... Give it a couple months after the election, I think MAGA is going to go away. It's going to be slowly. It's not going to be overnight. We're going to hear that the Democrats cheated and he won and it was rigged. But I think it'll start to dwindle, and I think MAGA 2025 will start to dwindle, and it'll be over. At least I hope. But we'll have to wait and see what happens, my friend, and I do appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
You too. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We got to take a break because the beautiful Nicole Mitchell is going to be joining us next. If you don't know who Nicole is, she joins us every Friday. She's a former evangelical Christian. Now she is an OnlyFans model, and she is a life coach. She's completely turned her life around for the better, at least I would say, and I think she would agree with me there. We have a lot of interesting stories to talk about when we come back. It's interesting, and obviously it's a crime, and it's terrible, but how this happened is incredible, and I want to break it down. But Nicole, did you hear about this $30 million cash heist in L.A. at this money storage facility, saying it's the biggest cash heist in the city, in the history of the city, and one of the biggest in the history of the country. I want to talk to her about that when we come back, and plenty of other stories to get to with Nicole Mitchell. Take a quick break. Be back soon. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Before I take a break, I do want to say this, though. If you want to continue to watch this show, if you want to continue to watch what I'm doing in the future, go to my YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show. At PTL Radio Show. We also want you to subscribe to the Occupy Democrats Network if you can. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fund account and stay progressive.
All right, welcome back. It's Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll be joining Jackson's Bar and Grill crowd over there at Flamingo and Jones, my favorite gaming bar in town. Great food, great atmosphere. I had the chicken Alfredo last week. I had the Caesar salad. I had chicken salad I had, and it was healthy, believe it or not. I eat healthy food from time to time. Gaming, great people. The Slipbox are wonderful people. Please check them out and tell them I sent you. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, my favorite gaming bar in town. Speaking of favorite people, we always love having the very beautiful and, of course, changed her life around from being an evangelical, far-right pastor Christian to now living a lifestyle of doing what she wants, freedom, and always great having Nicole Mitchell joining us on the show. Nicole, it is a pleasure to see you again. Looking great. How are you?
I'm so good. Happy Friday, Brian.
Happy. You always catch me when I'm in one of my good moods, right? Because it's Friday.
Yes, I love it.
You're fortunate there. You don't want to catch me in a bad mood. Just ask any of my friends. But obviously a burglary, whether it's a bank robbery or whatever, it's traumatizing for the victims and it's terrible. And I don't mean to sensationalize things, but watching movies, which is not reality, I like watching the robbery type movies and stuff like that because I do find it somewhat interesting. Just like, movies of organized crime back in the day or The Sopranos and stuff like that. This is like a made for movie type story, and it's wild. We're not talking about somebody going into a gas station and holding up the register for $300. $30 million were stolen in cash from a Los Angeles money storage facility. It's not only one of the city's largest cash heists, but one of the country's largest. This is a crazy story. How did they do it? I mean, this is nuts.
Right. My immediate question is, how the F did they leave with all that cash? How many bags did it take? How many vehicles to load up that much cash? And how did no one see anything?
It's a good question.
We should do some research.
Very good question. So I've been in Vegas for a little more than 20 years, and this was maybe 14 or 15 years ago. I might have the year wrong, but there's back in the day, it used to be the Hilton Casino. Now it's the Westgate. And I remember there was a heist there that made national news with the sports book where they believe it was an inside job. At least that's what I heard, that at least one person had the insides of what to do. And they stole, I don't remember the exact figure, but I think it was somewhere around $500,000, somewhere around that figure. And nobody's ever been arrested. And they went in there with obviously guns drawn, and they went in there and they got out of there. And I remember, Nicole, the Bellagio bandit story. I was a reporter for CBS at the time, and I covered this story. A guy wearing a bicycle or a bike helmet gets off his motorcycle with his leather jacket, Carleo, his name, goes into the Bellagio with a gun, goes right up to the craps table and steals hundreds of thousands of dollars in chips. Got away with it. The only reason why he eventually got caught is because you're trying to sell the high denomination chips, and they usually get greedy. And the crazy thing, Nicole, about that story is that he was actually gambling with the chips that he stole in their casino, and they were comping him hotel rooms and food, and they didn't even know it. There's so many wild and crazy stories like that, but it sounds to me that these are not amateurs, right? This isn't a guy that just goes into a desperate for money, can't pay his bills, and commits a horrible crime with a gun and goes into a bank. These were people that knew, at least it sounds like to me, they knew exactly where they needed to go. They knew around how much money was going to be there, and they were willing to take the risks to do it, right?
Because there's no way this, in my opinion, there's no way this wasn't an inside job. To know where the money's located, to have any idea of how much you would have to prepare for, how many vehicles, how many bags, to have no cameras catch you, to be able to get through all the locks and measures of protection to prevent people from breaking. It's just like it. I'm impressed. I'm impressed the level to which these people must have gone through to plan and scheme and create this entirely perfect moment. But holy schmoly, that is a lot of money, and I am so fascinated to see what happens, who gets caught, where, and how.
So my understanding is that nobody was hurt, though. To me, this is the most important part of the story. Nobody was killed. Nobody was hurt. Correct? There were no physical victims here, right? So
they planned it well.
Now, obviously, I would assume that there's insurance here. I think it's a very fair question. How can you store $30 million cash and allow this to happen? That's the part that is mesmerizing to me. Like, a casino is, has a lot of money and it's pretty well, security is pretty well thought out in a lot of these areas, especially banks these days. It's getting more and more difficult, but it seems like the more money somebody has, the more security they have. And that's my question, like $30 million cash sitting somewhere. How the hell does anybody get to that? We'll have to find out. But as far as I know, no arrests have been made. There's no leads and no arrests have been made yet. So we'll have to continue to monitor this case. There's another bizarre story coming out of Mississippi that I wanted to talk to you about. This is really strange. Apparently the DOJ is now taking action. The Mississippi coroner buried some men without the family's knowledge. Can you tell me about this? This is a really strange story.
I was horrified learning about this, and I'm also not shocked. Our systems are so effed up. But these men, and a lot of them are, have addiction issues, mental health issues, are homeless. And so when they do pass away, apparently, the coroner's supposed to check missing persons lists. Like, family members are looking for their loved ones and they just don't check. And they buried them in some random plot behind a building and just marked it with a number. And then it's not until I read this one story where his mother spent 5 months looking for her son and found him in an unmarked grave behind that building. Like, how is that allowed? How is that possible? How is that ethical? It's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking, and I don't know how this happened. I feel for the families. I couldn't even think of something worse. This is terrible. It is Friday, so we have to talk about some positive stories, and here's a positive one, right? And I got to be honest with you, I didn't see this coming. Global life expectancy rising over 6 years. Deaths have dropped with stroke and respiratory infections. I didn't know you can die from diarrhea. This is something new to me. I did not know that, but apparently in this story, you can die of diarrhea, which is very scary to me. I did not know that, Nicole. I don't know if you did.
It's heartbreaking. It's where that's what I would say. I don't know if I'd say most, but a lot of people in underdeveloped countries die from. They die from
Dehydration.
completely
Yeah.
preventable diseases like diarrhea. And it's heartbreaking. But I love that there's been changes in so many countries around the world to where we have a 6-year increase in life expectancy, which is perfect for my goal, Brian, because my goal is to live till I'm 100. So finding that article, I'm like, yes, like more and more possibilities for Nicole to live a very long, long life.
Yeah, and we're going to hope that Joe Biden is still in office till 100 as well. I know the Republicans love to hear that. Let's talk a little bit NBA along with athletes doing good things. Unfortunately, I don't know, maybe I'm a part of the problem, but unfortunately with professional athletes, sometimes we focus in the media on the negatives and not the positives. There are a lot of wonderful people out there in all forms of life. Could be sports, could be politicians, could be just in general, regular everyday people. And Mikal Bridges, who, by the way, I met, he plays on the Nets now. I met him when he was on, I believe, the Phoenix Suns. And really nice dude, really nice guy. I actually spoke with him at a WNBA Aces game. Had a conversation with him for a few minutes. And this is pretty cool because his dream, obviously one of his dreams was to be a professional basketball player, of course, and he fulfilled that dream. But one of his other dreams was to work as a teacher, at least for one day. And he dreamed of being a teacher, which I think is really super cool. So students in Brooklyn, New York got the substitute teacher of a lifetime, I guess you could say. This is so cool, man. Let me tell you something, man. Back in the day, and it was a long time ago because I'm very old now, but back in the day when I was like in high school or elementary school, whatever, and I had an NBA superstar, and Mikal Bridges is an NBA superstar, and he walked into my classroom for the day and he was my substitute teacher, I would be in awe. It'd be like one of the best days of my life. And these teachers, these students were able to do that. This is such a cool story, isn't it?
It's so cool. And it was interesting because kids were asking him like, why was this your other dream to be a teacher? And he said in second grade, it was his best year of school. He was being really happy. He loved his teacher. And he talked about how when he's done playing basketball, he's interested in pursuing education as a teacher, which how crazy would that be to be this big basketball star? And then when you retire, you become an elementary school teacher, like luckiest kids in the world. And how cool for him that he has the opportunity to do 2 very different careers in his lifetime. So my question for you, Brian, if you were not a radio DJ, what would you want to be? What do you think you'd be doing?
A co-ed OnlyFans model with Nicole Mitchell. Oh, wait. Okay. I can't do that. That's a good question. I would probably say something to do in sports related, maybe a basketball coach or something like that. If I'm not in broadcasting, because another form of broadcasting for me would have always been like play-by-play for an NBA team or something. But I love basketball. So if I had the athletic ability and the talent, maybe a professional golfer or something. Although I don't even know if that would be God, there's so much travel and it's such a grind. So I don't know. I would be probably more along the lines of maybe a head college basketball coach, something along those lines, probably. But I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But the 9-to-5 normal job workday is just not for me. It never has been for me. And there's a lot of jobs out there I would not want. And there are probably very few that I would. If that makes sense. I think there's something to being your own boss, but yeah, I think it would be something along the lines of being a coach in athletics in one way or another. I think would be something that how about you?
I love that.
Yeah. What about you?
Doing that. It's so funny because I feel like in my lifetime I've had so many, right? I was a pastor, I was a bartender, I was a high school teacher, I'm an OnlyFans creator, I'm a life coach, but there are still a few jobs I've never ticked. One, I want to be an A-list movie star celebrity. Whenever I watch movies, I'm like, that's me, front and center, like crushing it. That's probably my biggest dream. I've also want to be a flight attendant. I love flying. I want to be like this bright energy and like serve people their drinks. And then I've always wanted to do cosmetology. I love hair and makeup. I love making people feel beautiful. So those are 3 jobs that I have yet to check off my list.
All right, let's go with that. Donald Trump walks into your salon. He has no makeup on. What do you do? Hey, make me look good. What does Nicole Mitchell do to try to make Donald Trump look good?
I'm going to bling him up. We need sparkles, honey. We need eyelashes. We need pink. We need glitter. I'm going to bling him up.
I like that very much so. That would be quite the task. But do you feel like sometimes, whether it be men or women, that sometimes they do a little bit too much, that maybe they look a little too fake, men or women. There's plastic surgery. There's, tons of makeup. It could be man or woman. Do you think sometimes people do a little bit too much?
Yeah, and it's interesting because some people go for that look on purpose. They want to look plastic. I have a girlfriend who actually, her breasts are the size of 2 basketballs, and her ass cheeks are bigger than basketballs each. Like literally, and she loves it. Right? And I'm like, that is way too much for me, but that is like
Yeah.
her happy place, and it's just so fascinating.
So I saw somebody yesterday, and I won't say which casino, but it was a local one. It rhymes with Darley's. And I saw a woman walking by who had the fake butt.
Yeah.
I don't see too many of those. And in a nice way, I asked her husband, because he was a really nice guy. And he said, yeah, I bought those for her. It's a fake butt. And I said, what does that feel like? And he said, it's very hard and it doesn't feel very natural. And I said, do you like that? I said, no, but she does. And I'm like, all right, then you're a really good husband, but
wow. So
I really don't.
Supportive of her.
So I have an inappropriate question on social media. Can I ask you one personal inappropriate question?
Sure, Brian.
Okay. I actually don't think this is too bad of a question, but you did talk about how one day you wanted to be a flight attendant. And Al has sent us a message, and he says, ask her if she's in the Mile High Club.
Not yet, Al. Not yet.
Okay,
I want
Al.
to be in that club so badly. Someone needs to help me out. Get me a plane big enough. Get me someone up there, and let's pop that cherry.
Just don't get caught, though, because it is against the law. So don't get caught.
Did you know, Brian, in Vegas, there is a plane just for that? I cannot think of their name. I actually booked a flight with them a year ago to go do that, because it's a small plane and you go
like a bedroom or what?
Yeah, the whole plane has been converted into a bedroom. There's a mattress, there's sheets, there's pillows, there's curtains. The airline attendants have their noise canceling headphones on, or the pilots. And so I booked a trip with them a year ago, and then a week before my flight, they contacted me saying their plane was having technical issues, so they had to cancel it.
It's
and
called
they just haven't rescheduled it.
Love Cloud Mile High Club.
Yes.
Wow. I didn't hear about this.
Love Cloud in Vegas and in LA.
I'll take that over peanuts. That sounds like a much better flight for me. It depends on who I'm with, though. But wow, that brings flying to a whole new level of excitement. Holy smokes. That sounds really, I wonder how much they charge for that. That's really, really interesting. Do you have Numchuck? Why don't you take the mic here and tell us what they charge for this kind of flight?
30-minute flight for 2 people. $995. That's the lowest price.
That's actually reasonable for a private flight.
The platinum price is $18.95. 90-minute
30
for
minutes.
a couple.
So you're saying that Donald Trump could have sex at least 20 times in that time period. That's really interesting. Wow. I'll be honest with you, Nicole. I didn't hear about this. This is actually, I want to interview the people that do this. I wonder, do they change the sheets? Is it clean? I hope they keep things clean up there.
They're actually hilarious to follow on Instagram, because they address the common misconceptions they don't change their sheets, or they're secretly filming you. So they make the funniest reels, and you should totally have them on the radio show. They would be so fun to interview. Yeah,
I would totally do that. I wonder how the evangelical right, your former life over there, I wonder how they feel about this stuff.
I bet they're secretly booking it.
They probably are. You're probably right. They probably are. So it's not like they're flying you necessarily from one location to another. You're just in the air for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that? I like that idea. That sounds cool, but that's
what a hot date.
Okay, but I do have one issue though.
Okay.
And help me out with this. I would assume you have to have your seatbelt fastened until you're, so it's probably, I'm going to give it at least 5 or 10 minutes after takeoff, and you're only in the air for 30 minutes. So the descent is 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to be willing to bet you really only have a good solid 10 minutes to get it on. What if you don't finish the job? People are going to be leaving the flight and walking off on the tarmac very frustrated. I'm just thinking about that.
Book that premium package, baby.
Yes,
I need as much time as possible. So book that premium package and we'll be golden.
Fair enough. All right. Well, Nicole, what do you got going on this weekend before I let you go?
It's spring break here, so I think we're gonna do Great Wolf Lodge, go have a water park, have fun. We bought a house a couple weeks ago, so we're gonna go bring our contractors to it tomorrow to see construction, and then of course hanging out at my OnlyFans.
That is super cool. I'm going out with a lovely lady tonight. We're going to go grab some dinner, and then we're going to go see a concert. So I haven't seen a concert in a while, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to actually get some exercise somewhat. The LPGA Tour is in town, and it gives me an excuse to get some exercise and walk around when it's really, really nice outside. And then, of course, the Final Four of the NCAA tournament. So we're going to go watch a couple really good basketball games with some friends this weekend. So it's going to be a fun weekend. Nicole, it is always a pleasure having you on the show, as always. I hope you have a great weekend, and
Thank you, Brian.
we will catch up with you next week with or without this airline company in this 30 minutes. I don't know. We might have to book this sooner or later. It sounds like a lot of fun. I'm going to have
We're
to
going to do our next week's episode in that aircraft.
I-
Reporting live from high above.
All right. It's a little expensive. Are we going to go Dutch? Are we going to split it, or like?
Let's have our viewers tip us and gift us. Who would like to gift us a trip in the Mile High Club, and we'll report live for duty?
Can I even think of a better gift from my listeners than to be a part of the Mile High Club with Nicole Mitchell? I don't know.
Yes, let's be good to Brian, people. Be good to your man. Let's take care of
An
him.
email has been sent.
Okay,
Just so you know.
Thank you. Maybe we can get a comp. Yeah, I don't know. I'll try to work on that, Nicole. But that would be a lot of fun. That would be awesome. Nicole, thanks for coming on as always. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch up with you next week.
too,
Okay.
Brian.
All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Wow, I didn't know that even existed. I really didn't. I didn't know that. I mean, I always knew that people, get it on up there in airplanes, especially if you're in a private jet, right? But I didn't think there was actually a company that was dedicated to doing that. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. What an experience, depending on who you're with, of course. I can't imagine Melania is dreaming about doing that with Donnie these days. But you get my point. That does sound like a pretty interesting thing to do. All right. I get emails from people every day. Brian, love the show. Time listener, love what you're doing. Keep up the great work. I'm a loyal listener. I watch every day. I love all of you, even my MAGA supporters. So how can you help me?
Besides Julie.
Yes. How even apart, it's a love-hate relationship. Here's what I want you to do to try to help me, and you will be helping me by doing this. First of all, subscribe to my YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show, and some of you are doing a great job in doing that. It's an ever-growing page, at PTL Radio Show. Follow me on all forms of social media, PTL Radio Show. Follow the Occupy Democrats. Subscribe for $5 a month, a cup of coffee. And spread the word, man. It's the best thing you can do for me. There are not a lot of shows that are middle of the road or lean to the left or whatever the case may be that hear the other side, get into good debates. And I try to do that on this show every single day, and I try to report facts to you all. That's what I try to do. So if you like what I do, and I appreciate all of you very much, subscribe to my YouTube page. It's free. Be interactive. Continue to be interactive. Support the Occupy Democrats page. And by doing that, you're helping me as well, and you're growing the show and word of mouth. There is no show in Las Vegas that does what I do. Certainly not taking an hour and a half straight of phone calls like we did today from all over the country that tackle a little bit of everything, sports, entertainment, and, of course, politics. So I appreciate all of you very much, and I'm going to keep doing what I do, keep on fighting the fight and trying to put great content up there every day for all of you. Because, yes, it's about entertaining and having some fun, but it's also about talking about the real issues that affect you, all the real issues that are important to you, and I try to tackle those every day, and that won't be Hunter Biden's laptop or drag queen reading to children. Those are topics that I'm not really interested in talking about. I talk about real issues that affect real people in this country, and I'm going to continue to do that. We got some great guests lined up for you next week, some great guests, including Anthony Scaramucci and very controversial Dr. McCullough is going to be joining us on the show next week as well. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. Appreciate you all, and we'll see you on Monday.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn?